Instability, crisis. I'm hearing these words repeated a lot at this meeting that you're having here. The things that you've been seeing, all of the details on the banking system, the change in payments system, the insurance, these are details, and they're good things, and they're things that apply to your business. But in the big picture of things, they're just short-term noise. The crisis that you have just been through is nothing but a speed bump on the way to the main event. The storm that is coming is going to be bigger than anything that you have ever seen. There's a dollar crisis coming. There's a big deflation coming soon. The money supply of the United States has begun to contract for the first time since the Great Depression. This deflation will cause central banks around the world to try to inflate to help stimulate the economies. This causes a giant wealth transfer. One thing that I have found is that all markets around the world now trade in the same direction. All economies go in the same direction, and they all follow the United States. Wherever the United States goes, so goes the rest of the world. If you can see the future, if you can see what's going to happen in the future, you can either make great gains or great losses. Because all economies are linked now, because they all follow the direction of the United States, this will be the greatest wealth transfer in the history of mankind. I believe that the people that get prepared are going to see tremendous wealth come toward them, while the people that do not are going to get wiped out. In your handouts, in your bags, you got a DVD. Inside the DVD, there's a couple of banknotes. There's a $1 Zimbabwe note. There's a $100 trillion Zimbabwe note that was printed less than a year later. This one bought something when it was printed. This one bought nothing in less than a year. $100 trillion. Everybody here has one of them. This is what happens when a government is run off of pure deficit spending. During a deflation, tax revenues go down. I'm going to show you information that oil prices are on their way down. They're going down a lot. That means your government revenues are going to go way down. This crisis will affect the entire world.
The reason gold is so important, gold and silver, is because gold and silver is God's money. It's money made by God. And then in 1971, the U.S. government, under President Nixon, took God's money and turned it into man-made money. Never in the history of the world, this is the thing, never in the history of the world has this ever happened. In 1971, the U.S. and Nixon convinced the entire world to replace gold and silver with paper money. This stuff. Cash is trash. So the reason we have so much volatility in the world today is historically, since the time of the Romans and the Greeks and the French and the English and the Germans, every time they have taken God's money, like silver here, and replaced it with man-made money, there's been economic volatility. Now the problem is, so the dollar is going to keep dropping. So one of the reasons I can predict what's going to happen is I can predict the dollar will keep dropping simply because the U.S. government and now the euro, the European central banks, are printing so much of this trash. So you'll see gold going up in price, oil going up in price, real estate going up in price, because this is trash. So that's what happened in 1971. It's happened throughout history. And the reason this current election doesn't make any difference is the only person that can put this back in place is a strong, charismatic leader. People like Julius Caesar, Napoleon. That's why they were such great leaders, was they actually replaced this with this. Unfortunately, we do not have that person among the candidates. I know Ron Paul, philosophically, I agree with him as closely as possible, but unfortunately I don't think Ron Paul has the chutzpah as my Jewish